Good afternoon.
That, or good afternoon as well, depending on, or good night, depending on where you might be in the world.
Or good wicked early morning. We don't know.
Just good day.
It could be tomorrow for all we know.
Good life, everybody.
How are you today?
I am doing well. I am actually doing well. Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, I had a cold and it took me a while to really recover from.
Yeah.
Like fully, and I'm finally in the last couple of days like, okay, I feel like a normal person again.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It is fantastic when you feel normal.
Yes. Blaze is here, of course. Okay, so
Hi,
we're
Blaze.
trying something different.
Show me something new.
With our whole aesthetic here. Having comments up on the screen. And I think that might be nice because whether you're watching on Lindsay's channel or on my channel, you should be able to see all of the comments from both on the screen.
Which would be super rad.
It would be. Okay, so the way we have it set up here with me on top and Lindsay on the bottom, that's option number 1. You guys need to vote to tell us if you like option number 1
here.
or option number 2.
Oh, I definitely liked 1 better.
You do? Okay. Well, let's let the people, let's be a democracy here. Okay.
I got questions.
Option number 1. Option number 2. Okay, number 1. Claudia votes for number 1, but that's 2 votes for number 1 so far.
Yeah, Claudia definitely agrees with me. You are allowed to sit by me, Claudia. We missed Jennifer is here. Hello, Jennifer.
She was the first gold star.
She wins.
Yay. Teresa is here. Cindy is here. Sylvia is here. Okay, Blaze likes number 2. Jennifer likes number 2. All right, now it's a tie, 2-2.
Well, that's unhelpful, ladies.
I haven't voted yet, so.
All
right. All right. M Wise likes number 2.
All right. Well, I guess the 2's have it.
Voted out.
I just got, I usually wind up being the one to swim upstream. So
you know what?
Claudia and I will swim upstream together.
How does that not surprise me? I kind of like both. I kind of like that our heads are bigger in number 2, but then
I don't need help.
But then it leaves us with very little room to get, dramatic.
And you know how I get.
I'm really thinking about Lindsay here.
What are the options? Grandma Terry wants to know.
Okay, so the way we're laid out here, one next to each other, is
side by side.
Number 2, side by side.
I see the number 2 because you're all like not right here.
Number 2.
I get really.
And then option number 1 is us like this on top of each other. Now I write.
And this is.
Go ahead.
This is where our hands can do much of this. We can be more dramatic.
We can tell you like how big of a fish we caught yesterday.
I like telling fish stories. I've never caught a fish, but I can tell stories.
Yeah. I've caught a couple fish, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say, and then it went out of my brain. So there you go. Oh, I was going to say, I recognize that if you're watching like on a little phone screen, we're very tiny now. So that might make a difference for some people. Okay. I think 2 is still ahead, but we got a couple.
2 is definitely the dominant deal. We need to figure out how to put an actual poll situation. Sorry, I feel like my eyes are like itchy. Put a poll somehow so that way people could click the button and then it could give us results.
That would be very helpful because then we wouldn't have to do any math
or counting or anything.
It looks like 7 votes for 2 and 3 votes, or well, counting you would be 4 votes for 1.
All right. Let's commit to the 2 today and then be willing to modify if overall we figure that it works better for us to have
hinders us. Yes.
Large hands.
But my biggest problem is because we have it mirrored for ourselves so that our shirts are correct for everybody, then I don't know which way I'm going. And when you have a much smaller area, I'm like constantly going the wrong way.
I got to figure out how to point to you.
Exactly. And so I can't do this to point to you like I want
Nope.
to.
But
I have
no.
to do this. And it just feels wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, so I sometimes speak in front of people, and one of the pieces, I know it's shocker. One of
You
the
speak?
things, one of the things that kind of drives my brain a little bit nuts is when people start, like, when they're trying to show like a progression of time, they move from their left to their right. And so in your brain, you have to like constantly be like, okay, this person is looking at it from their vantage point. So I always wind up saying from like the right to the left to
Yeah.
demonstrate like the progression of time as the audience would observe it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
like,
So Jeff, and I don't know, is this a male female thing? Primarily, he is always like, if he says you have something on your face, he's not mirroring it. He's doing, if I
if
have
it's on
something
your
on
left cheek, he's touching his
his
left cheek.
left cheek, yes, and
Yeah.
I'm like touching my right cheek, like where is it? Because I'm like copying what he's doing. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, 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 no. And so he gets annoyed with like exercise videos or different, yoga videos or whatever, where they say right when they do left so that you'll do the mirror of them. And I'm like, I hate like it is a good brain exercise for me to,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not natural.
Yeah. I'm curious to know because like I've never made note of one way or the other, to be honest. Like I've never like taken into consideration like if I'm following an exercise video, oftentimes I don't stay in step with whatever they're doing
Right.
because, I just upstream swimmer, I guess. But also it's just like I just never feel bound to do what the people on the screen are doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And
I'm
then
always like, just tell me what to do.
well, but then also I don't not do that. So I don't know how to answer that question. I'm going to have to make an observation. But I also kind of wonder, is it actually a male brain versus female brain, or is it the fact that he's a lefty?
That could be. Well, yeah, that could be. I don't
Because I
know.
know whenever I do things with Lauren, it's always a little bit skewed or a little
Okay.
bit
So
like,
she's the lefty and you're
yeah,
right.
she's our lefty.
Okay, okay, okay. That makes sense.
Although funny story, when I do narration exercises with her and writing exercises and stuff and show her how to form letters and everything, I do always write with my left hand with her because I'm trying to give her good skills in that respect. And was it 2 days ago, maybe? My oldest, Caitlin, she looks down at me and she's like, why does that look weird? What are you doing? Oh my stars. I was like, listen, child, you write right-handed, so I write right-handed with you. She writes left-handed, so I write left-handed with her. It's just the way we do
Yes.
things. Because I'd rather her have good mechanics on that. So
yeah, so Jeff is left-handed, but none of our kids ended up being left-handed. So I have not had to worry about that. He is still the only weird one in the family.
He's the unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're observing because we haven't had the chat overlay before.
Right.
It's not in the same order as the chat that I have on my screen. And it's not like, I don't know, because Claudia's comment about Lindsay for president is
I got a president nomination.
Yes, you were nominated for president. So I mean that's really important. And that comment needs to be on the screen. I guess we can always just do this. And then it throws it up there.
We can. Yeah.
So we're still trying to get this figured out. Oh, Cindy asked what we're streaming on, and we are streaming on Restream right now. We have experimented with both Restream and StreamYard and decided to stick with the Restream because we got our, the kinks worked out pretty well. So
for now.
Yes.
Till we do something wonky.
Yes. I know. Or they do something wonky. Isn't that the way it goes? You get, dialed into some app or whatever, and then they change something.
Right. And they go off and update, and all of a sudden everything's cattywampus.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Clara is from the Netherlands. How cool is that?
Where are we here?
Jen Bob says this particular layout seems squishy. I like
Yes,
that word.
I feel like, in the trash compactor, but
A little bit. Sylvia's no help, she says.
No help at all.
She's good either way. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Willing to be adaptable. I like it. I
like both. I like both options for different reasons. And I'm wondering why. Yeah, I don't know. We should probably talk about something else.
Maybe. We'll move forward. Okay, here's a question for you.
Okay.
What is something that's going on in your life presently that you're uncertain about?
And
I feel like simple, like, we're not talking like macro level of like, I'm uncertain about, how many universes there are in existence.
Oh yeah, there's lots of those things. Are aliens real? I'm uncertain. Okay.
Can you see smells?
I mean, how would you know if you've never not seen smells?
I don't know.
Or this is something I wonder about. Does everything smell like boogers? I mean, how do you know what boogers smell like if you're always smelling them?
That is so true. That is so true. So every single odor is sullied because of all of the trapped particles in your nose hairs.
Yeah. Yes, you've never fully smelled something purely.
I mean, how can you?
Sorry. That's the mind blow moment for the day.
There it is. There it is. I'm glad I brought the question
I'm unsure about in my everyday life currently. We have a rooster.
Yeah.
One of our chickens turned out to be a rooster for the first time. We've been getting chicks forever, not forever, but for a long time, lots of batches of chicks, and we've gotten all hens, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we have a rooster, which is very exciting. Yeah.
By exciting, do you mean like not exciting, but we're using the word so that we convince our own selves, or like genuinely this is exciting?
I think it's a mixture of both, because
Sure.
with a rooster, there's a potential of chicks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exciting,
for sure.
To not have to buy the chicks, but to have them, self-sustaining.
Yeah.
We like to say the rooster doesn't have his doodle yet. because he only says cock-a-doo. Cock-a-doo.
That's not okay.
I mean, it's just a fact. Anyways, yeah, he doesn't have the doodle in there yet. He just says cockadoo. So he's still practicing. He's still a practicing rooster. Anyways, so Jeff is planning to build a separate run so that he's not just in with all 50 hens all the time.
Breeding all the time.
So we know like which eggs are fertilized and which ones are not. And I'm unsure about that. I'm like, is it better for him to be free ranging with everybody to keep him?
I mean, if you're going to eat him, maybe.
Or, well, like they kind of help, keep the fights down on the hens and to protect them. And so I'm like, is it better benefit to have him out with everybody and then not know what's fertilized and what's not, and then maybe have secret nests with half fertilized or half developed eggs? Oh, I mean, that's bad. But then, I don't know. So that's something I'm unsure about, but we're moving forward with the separate run where we'll, he'll have his little harem in there and they'll have little chicks, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see how
the king and I.
Yes. Yes. So I am somewhat unsure about that.
Okay.
It's one of those where we just have to do something and see how it goes. And then we'll be a little more sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what about you? What is something you are unsure of? Let's talk about your
So
things.
this question struck my brain as I was trying to clean up in the kitchen. I've got a whole chicken like that I'm, marinating basically. And as I was going about cleaning up and putting things away and everything, I noticed my entire stove is coated in butter splatters.
Oh yeah.
And
Sounds normal.
I didn't cook anything on the stove today.
Hmm.
And I didn't leave it that way yesterday. And so I'm unsure about the development of my children becoming cooks for themselves.
That is something to be very unsure about.
Like it's one of those deals where you're like, okay, learn how to do the things, develop skills, become more, self-sufficient or more capable so you can help and do all these things. But also like let's bring the job to completion. Like let's actually wipe up the mess that we create.
Yes.
That would be incredible.
But that's
So
not the fun part. We don't do things unless
yeah.
it's fun.
Right. Right. So I'm really sitting in the unsure camp of whether or not I permit the children to continue to grow in skill or say, forget it. I'm just managing it myself. Both
Yeah.
options are not great.
Yeah. So in our house, I've instituted a catchphrase that is finish your process.
Ooh.
Finish
Ooh,
your
I
process.
feel like I need somebody to tell me that all the time.
Yes. And this is something that I heard from, oh, I can't remember her name, but it's one of the like Fly Lady YouTubers. Fly Lady is like a clean your house
Yeah.
system. And it's so I don't know if she was the
Was it
one
the
that,
lady from Denmark? Like,
no,
you know who
but
I'm talking about
yes,
though, right?
Diane from Denmark. Diane in
Yes.
Denmark. I think that's her name. She's fantastic. Um, it was someone else, and I don't remember if she was the one that, where
Coined it.
originated the idea, but um it's an idea, but the catchphrase, I like the catchphrase because I can just say finish your process. And so like if you're making a meal,
Mm-hmm.
the process is not finished until the kitchen looks like it did before you started the meal.
That's solid.
And like, so another example that was used by this gal that I heard it from was when you go get the mail, the process is not finished if you throw the pile of mail on the counter.
What?
Just finish the process. Like go get the mail, look at the mail, put the
Sort.
important things where it's supposed to go, put the junk into the recycling, and then the process is actually finished. Because a lot of times we push off the end of the process. We're like, oh, I'll just throw it on the counter. I'll take care of it later. That's just pushing off the end of the process to your future self.
Yeah.
Your future self is not going to be pleased with that.
Right. And present self is also unsatisfied. Like it's like mid-sentence, just
Yes.
where's the rest of the thought?
Right. Well, and then also you get the benefit of having a clean counter. It's like with option number 1, you finish the process and your counter remains clean and you get to enjoy a clean counter for, that whole time. With
Right.
process number 2, you throw it on the counter and you're like, I'll do it later. You get the negative of having a cluttered counter for that same
Yeah.
amount of time. But it's the same amount of work to, pick up that pile and sort it later.
Right.
Don't get the benefit of the clean counter that whole time. You could have the benefit of the clean counter. And usually like with the throwing out the junk mail, like that takes no time at all. It's just a habit to get into. So like I'll go get the mail and then I won't even bring it in the house. I'll take it straight to the outside recycling can as I'm walking towards the door, throw in the junk, and it never even enters my house.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Anyways, so with the kids,
but valuable.
yes. So with the kids, I have an unfinished process chart where they get marks. And if they leave, if I come and I find an unfinished process of theirs, like their schoolwork didn't get put away after they were done or whatever it is, or toys got pulled out and then abandoned, the process is not finished of playing with the toys until the toys are put away. Then they get a mark on the board and they have to do an extra chore to work it off. So
I don't dislike this project.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, it is a lot for me to like keep up on.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I have to be disciplined in order to like keep it moving, but it is a good reminder for them and training tool for them. But just the catchphrase, did you finish your process? Because it's like they get out a toy, like, are you finished playing with your toys? Yeah, I'm finished. They're still scattered all over the floor. No. Is the process finished? Did you do all of the things to fit? Like, and when we're coming in the house from being out, finish your process of coming home. That includes putting your shoes away, hanging up your jacket, getting the garbage out of the car that you left. All of that is finishing your process of coming home.
Yeah. You know who I could see that being the most valuable for is Lauren. She likes to come in if we we have evening activities almost every night of the week. And typically it's for one person or another. And I can't leave people home yet, it's just, we're not at that age level yet. And if Jared's got his activities or if he's out of town or whatever the case may be, it's like, okay, we're all loading up. And she will bring a pile of things to do in the car. And that's fine. Bring all the things you want to bring. But my car is not your toy box and my car is not your junk drawer. So bring your things out of the car. But what she likes to do is she'll put her shoes away. That's top-notch skill level on her part. She likes to put her shoes away. That's great. But then everything else gets left in the laundry room floor, like right there, all strewn about. She does the same thing in her bedroom where she leaves piles of things in the actual path.
Oh, yeah.
And 12 times out of 10, so more than every single time, somebody gets hurt from stepping on something of hers. And my heart kind of goes out to her a little bit because I do not finish processes well. Like it's terrible. I'm terrible at that skill. Yeah. But also like, I don't know how many people I cause bodily harm to because of my lack of finishing the process. Yes. Whereas Molly, she's like got all of the sores all over her feet from stepping on pens or stepping on Legos or toys or what have you. So
and you find that when you like live by yourself or there's just a couple people in the house, you can get away with leaving unfinished process and it's not a huge disruption to the whole house. When you have 7 people leaving unfinished processes everywhere, like you just can't. You can't.
I see the value. Like my brain does not do well whenever there is mess and clutter and just like scattered business everywhere. Like my brain just starts to become very much so like the dust cloud that follows Pigpen from the Peanuts characters. Yeah, that's my brain whenever things like that happen. So I do the same thing to myself. I halfway cleaned the bathroom yesterday and left the rest of it undone because I was like, oh, I got to go deal with something that somebody else needs me to do. So I didn't finish that process. And I didn't teach my children, like, let's finish every process. Like you need to hold your requirement in your brain long enough so that I can finish this process and we can move together on that process. But that is a skill that we have got to figure out here in the Murphy household because I think that could, really benefit us all.
Yes. Yeah, well, and so for us as mothers, especially, like, it's really hard to just pick a process and do it from start to finish and then move on to the next one. Like, we're constantly like, Mom, I need to be wiped, like there's constant interruption. So there's a little bit of grace. There's a little bit of grace. And then also, like, I have instituted, like, kids are assigned to do dishes. And if I went through and finished every process in the kitchen and washed all of my dishes as I'm cooking, like I cook 75% of the stuff in the kitchen. I'm doing 75% of the dishes. That's not okay. So
Right.
for me, finishing my process of cooking in the kitchen may include putting some dishes in the bus tub for someone to wash later.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's variability, but with kids, it's like they have nothing
Yeah.
that is so
Yeah.
pressing, interrupting them that they cannot finish cleaning up their Legos before they move on to watching a movie.
For sure, for sure. Now, I would allow some flexibility when it comes like all of a sudden somebody has to go pee real bad. Like, but come
Right.
back.
Yes, that is important. That is important. But the little things like that.
Right. Okay, we've got a lot of chat happening, and I feel
Yes,
like
we
my
do. Okay.
questions so totally
Lindsay,
took
this
over.
question is for you. What is the difference between Ketocon and Ketopalooza?
Okay, I cannot speak about Ketopalooza yet because I have never been to a Ketopalooza, but obviously they're in different states. Autumn Withers, who does what is it? Watch Autumn Keto is her YouTube channel. She's the one I believe that created it all, right?
I think
And
so.
so it's in Kentucky. It's created by Autumn, and from what all of the people say on the internets, it is like a big giant family reunion. Whereas Ketocon to me was like a full-on conference where you had
Yeah.
sessions for speakers to give you the information. I mean, Jennifer, you were there, but just to kind of
Yeah.
reiterate,
Yeah.
having an exhibition floor where you got to see new tech or new products or what have you, and just kind of like be in a more educational space. From what I understand, Ketopalooza is a lot of like it's education plus relationship. So I think there's a lot more time permitted for cultivating those relationships. Is sort of my
Meals together,
understanding
things like
at like
that.
30,000 foot level.
But
Now,
you'll be
once I'm
able to tell
there,
us all about it
I
in a
hope.
few weeks. Yes.
This is terrible. I'm always so cautious. Like, not always, but I'm so cautious that, like, I always give the caveat, like, but it could not happen. It may not happen. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see.
That makes sense.
The plan is there. It's just a matter of whether or not it actually comes to fruition.
Right. Okay. Cindy would like you on the live stream, and I can give a good reference, I suppose. Like if you need a reference, Lindsay is a pleasure to have on live stream. And she's always on time, as far as I remember. There hasn't been
Lindsay is a pleasure in the same way that fruit flies in the summer are a pleasure. I'm the worst.
No, fantastic. If you can book her, she'll be a great guest. I mean,
Well,
she
I will
hands,
have to get into contact with Cindy so that I can get that laid out.
Yes. Chris Bear is here.
Howdy.
But just finished meeting, so now it's time to hang out.
Hanging out.
And Risa just showed up for a few minutes, but she's got to go to work.
Hello. She always is on the go. That woman is doing it all.
Natalie made it, but had to take a call from 2-year-old grandson. You know what?
That feels like a solid choice.
That
for
is
sure.
Very acceptable.
For sure.
Priorities.
Jennifer just popped in a question asking if Ketopalooza is a much smaller event than Ketocon. I believe it is. Yes. I think there were only like 300 tickets for sale compared to like however many thousands of people showed up over at Ketocon. Thousands. I feel like there were like at least a couple thousand people at Ketocon.
That sounds right. More like in the thousands. Thousands. Like I don't remember exactly.
More than 10 hundreds.
Okay, so Keto Chow is here.
Hi, Keto Chow.
I would like to know who from Keto Chow is here, because obviously we have Mr. Keto Chow himself.
We sure do. Also, Chris Bear, we don't know where your hat is. You should check with the shark.
Yeah.
No, on Toy Story 1, like the original one.
Oh.
But he can't find his hat, and then Sharky comes in and he's like, howdy.
Howdy. Yeah.
Oh, Miriam.
Oh, nice. That would be Miriam. Yes. Okay. Now she's here. Now we're getting all the views. We got the
All the
Cow
logins, all the
account. We got the Miriam
participants.
account. She's got us covered.
We got it.
All right.
Lots of people seem to appreciate you sharing the finish your process concept.
Oh, good. I mean, it's a great concept.
Yeah.
The continuation of it over time, like being faithful just in the monotonous every day of making it happen. Not going to say it's easy. It's kind of like a new diet where you like hear like, oh yeah, that's amazing and that's going to be the thing. And then when you have to do it every day, it's just monotonous and it's not fun.
No.
So the magic is in the mundane of doing it every day. So there you go. Let's just be honest here because, I'm not trying to sell a quick fix or a, magic solution. The magic is that you do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Doesn't help just buying a new exercise plan that you're really excited about and then not do it. The magic is doing it.
Yeah.
Dang.
Definitely. Overcoming carbs. She says, definitely can tell that we have moms on. Toy Story references, LOL. Yes. Jared tried on Saturday. He and Lauren were out in the shop messing around with the sailboat, and they were listening to Disney princess songs, which nice. When you're a girl parent, that's what you get. So he had those on, and I was singing along to like all of the obscure songs that they were having on to this particular station. And he was like, well, what's this one? Well, what's this one? Well, what's this one? And I'd be like, oh, that's the da-da-da-da. And he then switches the channel, like in the middle of at the very tail end of a commercial. And I start to listen to the first few like measures of a song. And I'm like, that's not Disney. And finally he goes, well, what's this one? And I was like, it's not Disney. It's not a princess song. So I don't know.
Right.
It was a good time.
Sing It was asking, are your children past the point that chores are fun? Like washing dishes. So Levi still will have times where he gets excited about helping and, doing the work. And it varies. The everyday chores that they normally do, they're not fun. But if it's something different, then they might get excited about it. Were there a stage where they get excited about it if you say you'll pay them? Oh.
Yeah, that I would actually say like none of my children are excited about chores, but they don't typically grumble a lot about it unless they're like in the thick of something else and I realize they have overlooked a specific task. And then I'm like, hey, right, but you also have to finish this task because I can't move on and do my task until your task is done.
Right.
So they get a little miffed when they have that moment. And I'm like, you shouldn't be mad at me. It was your choice, not mine.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day where when a child has a task, it doesn't take up my time.
Yes. What does that look like?
We have no idea because it's like I could assign them 100 chores in the day, but that's like assigning myself 100 chores in the day because they will not get it done and not get it done to the level that it should be done without someone else doing something. And that someone else
it's really 127 tasks because then you have to go back after you're in the middle of it and verify and do all the things and then continue on with your own stuff.
Yes.
It's a good time. Yes. We love it.
Okay. Question here from Aurora. Have either of you tried the Libre 2 CGM? How do you compensate for it being so far off from the blood numbers?
I have not.
I have not either. I have only used the Libre 1. I'm hoping that NutriSense will switch to the 3 soon, which I hear that that's where they're headed, but no sign of when that will be.
Sure.
But and that one you can calibrate. So you can take your blood number and then adjust your CGM, but from what I hear, you can't do that with the other ones. Which it's kind of annoying because some of them are off like 20 points, and it's very helpful to calibrate it.
Well, it looks like Chris also answered her question, and then
he always knows everything.
She filled in a bit of context.
Okay. You can't recalibrate and adjust the Libre CGMs. They're good for showing trends, but Abbott says you need to do a blood test to get accurate numbers for insulin. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wait.
Accurate numbers for insulin?
If you're an insulin-dependent diabetic.
Okay.
So if you're injecting insulin, you should go by the blood numbers and not necessarily by the CGM numbers. You should at least make sure that they're accurate. Yeah.
Or at least you understand what the range, like the difference is, what the delta goes for. But she said that her blood numbers were less than 80, but then her CGM was 122.
Yeah.
That's wild. Wildly different.
So there's a few different things going on. One is that the CGM is testing something different than the blood. The CGM is testing the interstitial fluid, and there can be variation between that and the blood. So they don't always correlate. Even if you were testing them perfectly accurately, there is going to be some variation between those two. And then also CGMs can run high or run low. I don't know why. I have no clue, but they can run high or run low. So like Chris was saying, they're not for knowing your exact blood sugar number at that moment. They're more seeing the ups and the downs throughout the day. So whether it's 30 points higher or 30 points lower, you still are going to be able to see the variation. How much it goes up after you eat a certain thing or what have you. So yeah, I do like that you can calibrate the Libre 1 because like I when I get a CGM on and I see it, 30 points higher than normal, I'm like, I know myself, I know what I'm eating, I know what I normally have as a response to that, and that's off. And so just to be able to plug the numbers in there and adjust it that way is helpful. And I don't know, because NutriSense is a different, they have their own app. Right. And so I'm wondering if when they adopt the Libre 3, if they'll put something in their own app that calibrates the numbers. But I don't know if they can do that or if that's an option or what. But we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see.
Let's see. As an insulin-dependent diabetic, you have to take carb ingesting into consideration. My husband is a type 1. Yeah. So that's where you wouldn't want to just rely on the CGM alone, but to be testing the blood. Let's see, what is this one? That happens with the Dexcom G7 as well. My son's has been giving him fits more than the G6 ever did. Interesting.
That's very frustrating.
I've never tried a Dexcom. I know Steve from Serious Keto uses those. That's what he loves. Aren't they
like a lot thinner and a lot more like
they're like ovally, and I don't know about the thinness, but they're ovals rather than circles. So and they're approved for being worn other places besides your arm. So if someone wants to have it on their stomach or something, that's an option with those. Apparently, you can wear the Libres other places too. Some people do it.
Chris mentioned that.
Yes, I believe Chris did, and but it's not approved by Abbott to do so. So you're going against manufacturer and recommendations.
And you should never do that.
Never, ever. Oh gosh, I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not put the Libre 3 on the back of the arm. 2 inches below the collarbone worked great.
Yeah, but like
don't hit a blood vessel. Yeah, when you sleep on the CGM, it can mess up the numbers, and so
It doesn't feel like there would be a whole lot of much to put that against.
2 inches. Yeah, right there.
All right. Everybody take your fingers and measure 2 inches below your collarbone. I feel like I stabbed my heart. I mean, I know I wouldn't, but it's what it feels like.
Yes. Oh, I keep, yeah. Yeah, Cindy says Brian has a Dexcom 6 that goes along with his pump that he wears on his stomach. That is fascinating. Fascinating stuff. Okay. This one. More concerned with his lows than highs. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because that would be where, you
could pass out for hours.
Yeah, which is very important, which if you don't have diabetes, you don't really have to worry about that so much. It's similar to ketosis and ketoacidosis where, yeah, ketoacidosis is a concern, but you're not going to get there if you're metabolically healthy, just eating a low carb diet. That's if you're a type 1 diabetic, that becomes more of a possibility to be concerned about. So, yes. Yes, Penny, none of these methods are 100% perfect. And then also you have to keep in mind that you can take your blood measurement and then it can change really fast. So it can change, like even doing back-to-back measurements, it can vary that like a lot in a short amount of time. So none of these are just considered perfectly accurate all the time measurements.
So I just looked it up, and according to the Dr. Googles, a blood cell can travel approximately 3 feet per second in your bloodstream. So if you're taking your, like a finger prick for blood glucose, like in your finger, like by the time you move on to the next, trial, like, or you do the next test situation, a different blood cell is going to be sitting there likely. Yeah. So it's possible that glucose or those cells right there are not transporting the same volume of glucose through the body at the same time. So that's fascinating.
Yes. And then of course you're supposed to wash your hands before you start, but there could be different things that you've touched. Like if you have a glucose molecule on your finger, like that's, so it has to be perfectly sterile. It has to, there's just so much. So it's all just like ideas and trends, and you never go by one. That's why, like, getting your blood glucose done in a lab, like it's a tiny bit helpful, but really not very helpful to see that one tiny little snapshot, even though it's pretty accurate for that moment that you got it done. Yeah. It's like, what are you going to do with that? Like I could have, run up the stairs really fast to the lab office because I was running late, and my glucose is going to be way higher than if I, slowly walked and sat for a while before I got it done. Like, it's just, there's so many variables.
For sure. For sure.
All right. So Chris is nerding out for us here.
Oh, he was nerding out much, much further down the chat to start with. In fact, I think there were several moments of geekiness.
Yes. Oh, yes. So many. Okay. Yes. Here we go. Doesn't encrypt it. It lets other apps and services use it. Unloads loads of fun for hacking and stuff. Okay. Fascinating.
Listen, I've got questions.
Okay.
I do not have the time to function and manage all of the things that I want to get done in a day. Where would I find additional time to then also hack into some device to fuss around with it?
Yes, seriously.
So I want to know where this time is coming from, because clearly you must have more time in a day than Beyonce.
Okay, the 14-day 1, 2, and 3 are encrypted, so you either have to use their app or somehow get the key. Only works on Android. Okay, interesting.
Feels like a video game.
Yes,
You're on a quest.
you unlock the secrets.
I feel like Chris has defeated the boss level on the
Yes,
CGMs.
I'll never get there.
Same.
Some apps like Tastermonial use the cloud to get the data after it goes through the normal Libre app. So what does NutriSense do?
That is an excellent question.
Okay.
That's something to look into.
Okay, so have you done a CGM recently, Lindsay? You
I
did
have not. Yes, I've done the CKM situation, and hopefully I have more videos coming out about that. And I have not done a CGM since this past winter.
Don't forget The Price is Right. Can't miss an episode. Sorry.
Let's get the Family Feud in there.
For those of you that don't know, this is Lindsay's husband trolling in our comment section today.
He's looking for fish. He's trolling.
Anyway, sorry. You have used
I've used NutriSense for CGMs.
Yes, and they're the Libre one.
Yeah, and I've looked into Tastermonials to try and see if that's going to be a valuable use of monies. But as always, you have to constantly weigh the value proposition. Is wearing a CGM necessary for me as a non-diabetic person who just wants the data here, there, and everywhere? And at the moment, I'm going to just lay off of doing CGMs for a little bit, even though I do think that they have tremendous value. I do not have a need to wear one 24/7. So I'm going to pump the brakes on that. And maybe in the next season, I will do another CGM trial. I think it would be valuable to do one about every quarter, just to sort of have baseline points throughout the year. That would be kind of interesting, but that also requires the monies, and I have to pick and choose where the monies go.
Yes. Okay. So I also have only had experience with the Libre one because I've only gone through NutriSense. So, and like I said, I'm hopeful that they will upgrade to the 3 soon, because to not have to scan it every 8 hours would be so nice. And it's smaller. And the only negative is that you can't calibrate it, from what I hear. Okay. So, Chris said that he
preemptively answered the question that we didn't
that comment, because I don't see it, and I was scrolling back through trying to find it.
Well, he said he said Tastermonials. I assume he meant that any third-party app will go to the cloud after the information goes to the Abbott.
Yes. Okay.
App.
The original Libre one worked for 10 days, except that it totally works for 14 days. You have to use a non-Abbott phone app, which is why NutriSense and them use the original.
I think he means Tastermonials, maybe. Huh.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's really geeky, Chris, and we appreciate you taking the time to educate us on things, even though it's not landing the way I think you wanted it to.
You need to do a whole TED Talk.
I feel like he probably does intersperse that kind of information in their live streams often.
Their live streams are so informational. Let me tell you what. It's not all just about keto chow and favorite flavors.
They really do. I mean, I watched the replay of their one from last night talking about all of the different sweeteners and things like that. And I was like, I knew the information, but getting to hear them discuss it in their live stream is just one of those refreshing of informations. I prefer to avoid maltodextrin and all of that jazz, because it does give you the bubble guts real bad. So that's not a helpful food to consume.
Yeah.
So I will not do it.
Yeah, seriously. Okay. little more geeky stuff. Wearing a CGM is like enabling a debug mode. You use it to check if stuff is working properly, test weird foods without needing to prick your finger every 5 minutes. Yeah, I think that is one of the best things that you can use a CGM for, is testing out foods. And like I've said a bunch of times, when I started with a CGM, I thought it was going to make me restrict my diet more. Like I was going to find out all these things that were giving me trouble that I didn't realize. It ended up that it expanded my diet, and I was able to actually see that things I thought were probably giving me trouble blood sugar wise were not. And so I was able to use that information to actually expand my diet, which I think is super valuable. Let's see. NutriSense uses a rebranded Libre 1 10-day sensor along with their own app. Okay. Rebranded Libre 1 10-day sensor. It does say 14 days on the box.
Also, Miriam, you are more than welcome.
Anyway,
are you wearing that right now? Or
I am not wearing it right now. I took a break for quite a while, but I have some more now, so I'm going to be starting up again. Yeah, you don't unless you're diabetic and you're really using it to monitor so you don't die. You don't have to use them all the time. Like it's just not necessary. So I took a break for a while, just clear my brain.
Well, and I think with a CGM, if you're not diabetic or you're not having to do this for medical purposes,
yes,
a CGM and a CKM can both really kind of put you in a headspace of chasing ketones or chasing a glucose number.
yes.
So, I mean, like I could sit here and think it could be valuable in a stressful period of life to have a CGM, to just sort of like be able to have that as a check and a balance. Like, oh, you're getting a little stressed out. Your glucose is kind of creeping up there. Let's try to bring it back down. But then you start chasing those lower glucose numbers. And I don't know that that's necessarily appropriate in a glucose situation. Like you do want your body to consume the food and then have a bump in the glucose and then quickly come back down to your baseline. Like you do want to be able to like see how your body responds to the input, and the speed with which it brings it back down is really a more valuable piece of information in my perspective than what like the highest number is. I mean, like if I eat a banana, I know I'm going to have glucose through the roof.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But the ultimate goal is to see like how fast does your glucose come back down.
Right.
And can your body handle it? So I think that you can wind up chasing the numbers a lot. Like having the blood pricks, it's a limiting situation because you're like, how many fingers do I have? How many times a day do I want to prick my finger?
Yes, exactly. Well, and then also like seeing your blood sugar throughout the night.
Yeah.
Or throughout, certain, activities that you're doing where you can't take the time to prick your finger. That's super valuable. And
right. It's more detrimental to your stress levels to wake yourself up every 2 hours.
Right. It's like, that's never going to be accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singin has an interesting, Serious Keto said that it gave him permission to eat more carbs. I would buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I heard him say that too, but
I feel like it did for me as well. Which is kind of interesting. Let's see, I was going to put that one up. There we go. I feel like I learned that I could handle a fair amount of carbs. By fair amount, I mean like 50 to 100 grams pretty easily. And with the continuous ketone monitor, I found that I pretty solidly stayed in that, 0.2 to 0.5 range, whether I eat 0 carbs or whether I eat 75 carbs. And if I really want to get my ketones up, I have to, go down to the lower carb and I have to reduce my protein. So for me, it's like, if I'm not going to do that, if I'm not going to go that far and keep my protein under 100 grams a day, then it's like, why am I sticking to 10 grams of carbs per day when my blood sugar can easily handle 50 to 75 grams of carbs and my ketones are the same?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, you never know, like, the behind the scenes of what the ketones are doing, because it's like the amount that you see in your blood doesn't necessarily correlate to the amount your body is actually producing because your body's using it up, or,
Right.
so I don't know. I really don't know. But it's like I'm having to, think for myself, is it really important to keep my carbs super low when my blood sugar can handle higher ketones, or my blood sugar can handle higher carbs, and my ketones don't change when I have the higher carbs? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you've got the data that supports the fact that you can be a little bit less stringent in your food consumption, which gives you the opportunity to have a greater range of options when you're fellowshipping with people, using food to, gather with others, and you can still see the kinds of results that you're interested in without having to make it weird.
Yes, exactly. So anyways,
I like to make it weird, and
then for some people, it's like if they go beyond that 10 or 20 grams of carbs, their blood sugar goes really high.
yeah.
And it'd be like, well, then that makes sense that you would need to keep your carbs lower.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly, I feel like protein for me is a bigger, maybe not bigger, but as important for raising ketones for me. Like it's a as important lever for raising ketones for me as carbs are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because I can go to 0 carbs and my ketones don't go above 0.5.
Yeah.
Really. But as soon as I lower that protein to like 75 grams in a day, my ketones start going up, even if I'm up like 20, 30 carbs. So anyways, everybody's different and it's all fascinating, and you don't know unless you experiment on yourself, because everybody's different.
Right. And I mean, and that just goes to further prove the whole concept of like using a CGM or a CKM for a period of time can help you to parse out the information and then be able to translate that into action steps to move forward.
Right.
Like when you did your CKM trial, you found a whole bunch of different things that did work really well to jack up your ketones. And so you can use that in the future if you feel like it, or you can just be like, well, that's good knowledge. And I can just put that back in the toolbox until I'm ready to use that tool.
Right. And so for me, it's like, unless I'm trying to get the high ketones and I'm lowering my protein, it's like I don't really worry about a few extra carbs from vegetables.
Yeah.
Because it really, for me, myself personally, it really doesn't make a lot of difference since I've, worked on my gut and they can handle them better. And since I know that they're not jacking up my blood sugar, it's like, it just kind of takes the stress off of that.
For sure. So earlier, Miriam had said, thank you for saying that her and Chris's live streams were informational. And she's just there to goof off. And I'm like, that's me too. I'm here to make the jokes.
There you go. All right. I don't see Miriam's comment, but
oh, it was a little bit further back.
It was a while ago. Okay.
We are really good at taking a concept and just
going
off on it. And then lots of other information comes through from other people's conversation. Oh, I can't scroll on that one.
I know, I keep trying to do that too, like scrolling on the screen one.
Just in case you're wondering, on the screen, you know how we've got the chat right here. It's like we're trying to swipe up on this so we can read it too. That's not how it works. That's it's a good sound.
Yes. All right. And yes, we are
question
a special snowflake.
Well, I am a special snowflake. That's for sure. I'm actually not snowflake. I'm a sleet.
Oh yeah, hailstone.
I'm from Texas. Hailstones are like the size of watermelons.
Yeah. I bet it should be a t-shirt. I'm not a snowflake, I'm a hailstone.
I used to have a t-shirt that said sunshine mixed with a little lightning, and I was like, that's for sure me. All the energy.
Yeah.
And out.
Yes. Oh, Miriam wants to eat. Yeah, Chris.
That
come
is
on.
beautiful. Go sear that steak. Although I
Yes.
thought you said that women were like the awesome ones when we could, cook all the meats outdoors.
Oh, it is awesome.
Murph jar is about correlation. Okay, I missed a joke that apparently got made.
Yes.
But I'm also not flying at 40,000 feet with not much to do. I'm just kidding, babe. You're doing awesome.
Yeah.
Fly that airplane.
Right. Well, we are right at an hour, so we should
and we missed so much of the chat. I'm so sorry.
We did, but we got something out there. Everyone go finish your processes today. And then think about having a CGM if you want. There you go. That's today.
Yep. All right. Well, we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Yep. Same time, same places on both of our channels at the same time.
Right. That's right.
That's how it goes.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.